Understanding death from the perspective of quantum physics, emptiness, impermanence, and interbeing. My intention in putting this short training together is to help alleviate the suffering for anyone who is about to lose someone or who has already lost someone, including a beloved pet, as well as anyone who may be coming to the end of their physical being, irrespective of their faith or belief. I hope this small, humble offering helps. So, where it all began, let me tell you where my journey started with this. It started with this equation, E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass multiplied by the speed of light squared. Matter is condensed or frozen light. All matter is the condensation of light as a pattern moving back and forth at average speeds, which are less than the speed of light. Frozen light is energy and is also information, content, form, and structure. It's the potential for everything. David Bohm. Just as a scarecrow looks like, but is not a person, just so we appear to be solid and real people, although in truth our bodies are bodies of light. Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. So on a spiritual level, and on a physical and material level, this world is made up of frozen light. Now if we consider our bodies, going back to the equation, E equals mc squared, we can recognize and understand that our body is a mass. If we look through an X-ray machine, we can see that our body is made up of organs, skeleton, bones, tissue, skin, etc. But if we take a deeper look, maybe through something like a dark field microscope, we can see that those structures are in turn made up of cells. 50 trillion cells of rough approximation. And if you look at these cells, you can see that they're dividing, colliding, changing shape all the time. Your cells in your body right now are in a constant state of change. If we go further and look at what a cell is made up of, we can see that a cell is made up of atoms and subatomic particles. And these subatomic particles pop in and out of existence. They're not permanent. They come and they go. But if we consider an atom for a second, 99.999999% recurring of an atom is empty space. Nothing. And if we were able to suck out all of the empty space out of every atom in your body right now, what will be left of you would be nothing bigger than a single grain of sand. And if we were to do that to all 8.1 billion of us on planet Earth, what would be left of us, physical matter, would be nothing larger than an apple or a tennis ball. So in fact, we are made up of atoms, which are in turn empty. Also, 98% of the atoms that exist in your body weren't there a year ago. So the you that's watching and listening to this presentation right now is not the same you that was there 5 minutes ago, 2 hours ago, and certainly not 12 months ago. Your body's in a constant state of change. For example, approximately 300 million cells in your body die and are replaced every minute. That's 70 billion cells a day. Your skeleton that seemed so solid was not there 3 months ago. Our bones change every day. In the marrow of the bone, 120 million oxygen-carrying red blood cells plus 7 million white blood cells are born every minute and shipped off to the rest of the body. Our skin is new every month. Well, you know that because you probably hoover it up. Your complete stomach lining renews every 5 days, with the actual surface cells that contact food being renewed every 5 minutes. You have a new liver every 150 days. Your red blood cells renew every 120 days. And the amount of carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen in the brain is totally different than it was a year ago. It is as if you lived in a building whose bricks were systematically taken out and replaced every year. Now, let's talk about emptiness. Thich Nhat Hanh, in my opinion, and the opinion of many others, is one of the greatest Zen Buddhist masters that ever lived. And he says that emptiness represents the ultimate truth, the true nature of reality. On this level, there is no beginning and there is no end. There is no birth and there is no death. And the notions of being and non-being are removed. And what we're going to do as we move forward now is explore that statement by this great Zen Buddhist master. First things first, let's demystify the concept of emptiness. Often misunderstood as a void or nothingness, emptiness in Buddhist philosophy is quite the opposite. It's not the absence of something, but the presence of a profound truth. In Buddhism, emptiness signifies the absence of an independent, unchanging self. In our everyday lives, many people see themselves as being separate from the world, but emptiness teaches us that our identity is interconnected with everything around us. If I'm holding a glass of water, and I ask you if the glass was empty, you would say no, it's full of water. But if I pour the water out of the glass and then ask if the glass is empty, you will most likely say yes. From a conventional perspective, this is true. But from the perspective of ultimate truth, what is the glass actually empty of? It may be empty of water, but it is now filled with air. Therefore, for the glass to be empty, it has to be empty of something. Like the glass, our bodies are empty, as we've just seen. If we were not empty, we would be a solid, inert block. We would be unable to breathe or think. But just like the glass, we have to ask the question, what are we empty of? And when we examine the essence of our being, we discover that we are not empty in the sense of non-existence, but rather empty of a separate self, a separate, independent existence. If you see a beautiful flower, you are witnessing a miracle. If you understand emptiness and look deeply into the flower, you will see that the flower is made up of non-flower elements, such as the sun, air, water, soil, insects, and subatomic particles. If you removed any one of these elements, the flower could not exist. When a flower dies, its life doesn't end because it goes back into the soil and provides nutrients for other flowers, plants, and insects. Therefore, a flower doesn't die. It continues on in other forms and in other flowers, plants, and insects. If we consider the concept of self, we can see that our self is actually made up of non-self elements. The sun, clouds, water, which comes from rain, which in turn comes from clouds, which were once water turned into clouds by the sun, animals and plants, without which we wouldn't have food, air, without which we wouldn't be able to breathe, and subatomic particles that appear and disappear within the fabric of our bodies, as well as the entire cosmos. Therefore, our individual identity is nothing more than an illusion that leads to separation and discrimination. But if we choose to look deeply into ourselves, we can begin to understand that we are all part of an intricate web of existence. Just as a wave is not separate from the ocean, we are not separate from everyone and everything else in the cosmos. Because we are empty, we are also full of everything that has ever existed, exists now, and will come to exist. We are full of everything in the cosmos. The ultimate truth is that nothing is born and nothing dies. To be born means that you become something from nothing. But just like the flower, this is also not the case with a cloud. Before a cloud appeared in the skies, it was not nothing. It was water in our oceans, seas, lakes, and rivers. A cloud was also the heat generated by the sun and the water vapor that rose up into the sky. And when the cloud is no more, it hasn't died. It has changed form into rain or snow. This is scientific fact as the first law of thermodynamics, also known as the law of conservation of energy, which states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Energy can only be transferred or changed from one form to another. Like the cloud, one day our energy will transform into something else, just as those who have gone before. They have not died. Therefore we will continue on, and as a conceptual view of death is nothing more, as Thich Nhat Hanh says, than our continuation. Emptiness represents the ultimate truth, the true nature of reality. On this level, there is no beginning and there is no end. There is no birth and there is no death. And the notions of being and non-being are removed. Thich Nhat Hanh. So as you can see from what we've covered so far, that 99.999999% recurring of an atom was empty space. It's not empty space, it's actually energy. And that energy connects us with everything else in the cosmos. It connects us with everyone else and everything else on our world. That is the nature of emptiness, which is ultimate truth. And that is what this great Zen Buddhist master is saying here. That there is no birth and there is no death, because energy cannot be created and it cannot be destroyed. Energy can only be changed or transformed from one form to another. For example, a piece of paper is empty of self-nature, but full of the sunlight and oxygen that nurtured the tree, full of the food and water that nurtured the logger, full of the universe. How much more so for a human being? Thich Nhat Hanh. The loved ones we grieve, by returning to emptiness, have simultaneously returned to fullness. Their carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen have returned to the earth to sustain other forms of life. Their beauty, dignity, and love have returned to space to sustain other forms of mental and spiritual life, our own and other loved ones left behind. Thich Nhat Hanh. Every day we ingest and inhale countless atoms that once resided in countless beings of the past. Every day we excrete and exhale atoms that one day will reside in countless beings of the future. When we die, we're just returning these borrowed elements to their lender. They will one day be loaned yet again to sustain endless future lives. In essence, we are retiring to infinity. Now, let's talk about interbeing. Every breath we take connects us to everything and everyone else. This is the nature of interbeing. The act of breathing is a fundamental and subconscious process that sustains our lives. While we are aware that we inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide, the air we breathe is composed of various gases, some of which are more enigmatic. One of these gases is argon, an inert noble gas that makes up a tiny fraction of the Earth's atmosphere. Surprisingly, every breath we take involves ingesting and expelling argon atoms, creating a profound connection between our bodies and the cosmos. Despite its scarcity, argon plays a crucial role in understanding the history of our universe. Scientists have determined that a significant portion of the argon atoms on Earth, including those we breathe, have been around since the birth of the cosmos. As a result, it has remained relatively unchanged over billions of years. Intriguingly, the argon atoms we inhale and exhale could have traversed the ages, and the fact that it's a component of the air, the argon atoms we exchange with the environment, might have once been part of the breath of every human being, animal and plant, from different eras over billions of years. Consider the notion that the argon atoms in the air were once inhaled by luminaries like Christ, Buddha, or Allah. These religious figures have left an indelible mark on humanity, and the argon atoms they once shared with the environment continue to circulate through time. In addition to these religious figures, the argon atoms have also been shared with every member of your family who has passed, who is still alive, and who is yet to come. Therefore, your parents, grandparents, your children, grandchildren, your beloved pet, your friends, basically everyone and everything exists in you and in everyone and everything else on planet Earth and in the cosmos. It's a testament to the eternal cycle of matter in the universe and the shared atoms that have journeyed through time. In essence, the simple act of breathing encompasses a grand narrative that transcends individual lifetimes. The argon atoms that have persevered through eons find their way into our bodies with each in-breath, only to be released back into the world with each out-breath. This perpetual exchange underscores the interconnectedness of all life and the elements that have shaped our existence since the very beginning of the cosmos. This is why there is no birth and no death. There is only continuation. Now, this is part of a letter written by Thich Nhat Hanh and sent to someone who is grieving the loss of their mother. It reads as follows: We can look deeply to see that our mother is not only out there, but in here. Our mother and fathers are fully present in every atom and cell of our bodies. We carry them into the future. If you look deeply, you'll see already the continuation of your mother inside you and outside of you. Every thought, every speech, every action of hers now continues with or without the presence of her body. The best relationship is to realize that while our loved one is relatively nowhere to be found, they are absolutely everywhere. The breeze that you feel is the breath of your loved one. The warmth of the sun is their tender embrace, and the earth beneath your feet is the stability of their undying love. Before things crystallize into forms, those things manifest as qualities. When those forms dissolve, they melt back into qualities. Qualities, unlike things, never die. To be is to interbe. You cannot just be by yourself alone. You have to interbe with every other thing. Thich Nhat Hanh. Now let's take a look and impermanence. Because of impermanence, everything is possible. Of all footprints, that of the elephant is the deepest and most supreme. Of all contemplations, that of impermanence is the deepest and most supreme, the Buddha. He who dies with the most toys still dies, and the entire spiritual path is about letting go. A cloud never dies. Impermanence reminds me that nothing lasts forever and that everything is constantly changing. Imagine you have a beautiful flower in your garden, its petals filled with colour and fragrance. However, the flower, like everything else, is not permanent. Eventually, the petals will start to wither, the colours will fade, and the fragrance will diminish. This change is the essence of impermanence. Even our lives are subject to this universal organic law. Thus, whatever you are experiencing at this moment will eventually pass. Earlier on, I mentioned that approximately 300 million cells in your body die and are replaced every minute, equating to 70 billion cells a day. Your cells are impermanent. They do not last forever. And one day we, like the flower, will wilt and become once again with the universe as we pass on to our next universal adventure. When we embrace the impermanent nature of all things, we learn to let go of our attachments and fears, and that is true liberation and true freedom. This process is a testament to the ever-changing nature of reality. It reminds us that nothing in the universe remains static. Everything, every thought, feeling, and physical entity is in a constant state of change. That is the true nature of impermanence. Without impermanence, a child could never grow up to be an adult. A seed could never become a flower or a tree. The seasons would never change. We would not be able to breathe because if each breath was permanent, how would we inhale and exhale? Impermanence is crucial for life to exist. Understanding impermanence can free us from attachment and suffering. Thanks to impermanence, everything is possible. Now let's think about how impermanence applies to various aspects of our lives. Just like the flower, our feelings and emotions also change. Sometimes we feel happy, and other times we might feel sad, angry, or anxious. These emotions come and go, and understanding impermanence helps us to realize that even the difficult emotions will pass, giving us hope during challenging times. Our relationships with people around us also experience impermanence. People come into our lives, and people may also leave for various reasons. Friends might drift apart, and loved ones might pass away. This can remind us to cherish the time we have with others and cultivate love and understanding in our interactions. The things we own, like gadgets, clothes, or even our homes, are subject to impermanence. They might break, get lost, or become outdated. Recognizing this impermanence can help us detach from material things and focus more on the experiences and relationships that truly enrich our lives. Another example is the changing of seasons. Just as spring turns into summer and then into autumn, the world around us is in a constant state of change. This can remind us to appreciate the present moment and the unique beauty each season brings. Our own selves are not exempt from impermanence. We grow, learn, and evolve throughout our lives. Our thoughts, beliefs, and even our bodies change over time. Embracing impermanence can encourage us to embrace personal growth and the potential for positive change. Impermanence teaches us that everything is interconnected and in a state of constant transformation. While this might sound a little sad at first, it can also bring you a sense of liberty and freedom. When we accept impermanence, we can learn to let go of unnecessary worries, appreciate the beauty in each moment, and cultivate gratitude for the experiences and people we have right now. It's about living fully in the present and understanding the beauty that arises from embracing life's natural ebb and flow. Embracing impermanence signifies learning to release. When we finally realize that nothing inherently exists, that everything that comes together must fall apart, that everything is just like a rainbow, then we won't be so devastated when yet another rainbow dissolves into the play of light from which it arose. Once we understand that impermanence is the very nature of life, then letting go becomes quite natural. People always ask me what it means to be a Buddhist. My reply is, it means being nobody. The true spiritual path is not about becoming, it's about not becoming. When we let go of this futile effort to become somebody, freedom and enlightenment take care of themselves. Sogyal Rinpoche. Lessons from Quantum Physics, Emptiness, Impermanence, and Interbeing. Because of emptiness, impermanence, and interbeing, and the science that backs it up, I am happy in my understanding that I am no thing, and that change is the only consistent thing in life. By accepting and embracing change, I can open my mind up to the possibilities that are not limited by the illusion and constraints of permanence. I am happy in the knowledge that nothing lasts forever. If I experience pain, I know that one day it will cease. If I become ill, I know that too will end. As the old Persian adage, a proverb or short statement expressing a general truth, states, this too shall pass. Emptiness is the nature of all things. Just as the sky is not separate from the clouds, I am not separate from the world and everything in the entire cosmos. By embracing emptiness, I embrace the interconnectedness of all existence. Because of my understanding of impermanence, I am now much more tolerant and patient when things go wrong, stop working, or don't go to plan. And because of interbeing, I also understand that you, I, and everything else in the cosmos is interconnected, and that my thoughts, intentions, actions, and perceptions, no matter how small, have a part to play in someone else's life, in the everyday reality I experience, in creation itself, and in the bigger cosmic picture of everything. Ultimately, I understand that because of impermanence, my physical presence will one day no longer be. But because of emptiness and interbeing, I will be there in every breath others take, in every flower and plant they see, in every blade of grass and grain of sand, in every cloud that passes overhead, and in every raindrop, and in every ray of sunshine. I have come to know that we will all live on in our children and grandchildren, just as our ancestors live on in us. And we will also live on in every sentient being, plant and animal, on Mother Earth, and within every element in the cosmos. We are all part of this cosmic dance, forever exchanging energy and matter, forever interconnected. That is our continuation. And finally, I'd like to dedicate any merit that this teaching generates to you all in the hope that by seeing and hearing this small offering, that it helps you with whatever you are experiencing in your life right now.